What's going on YouTube? It's Cortisol here, and today I'm going to give you guys my Shadowlands Affliction Warlock PvP guide. This is going to talk a little bit about arenas and rated battlegrounds, just what talents you should be using, sort of what stats you should be going for, things like that. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Just before I hop into the guide, I want to let you guys know, as you can see here, this is the Twitter post. Team Lunatic is doing a giveaway. This is the Twitch org that I stream for. All you have to do is follow the link that's down in the description below, and you have an opportunity to be one of three winners. The prizes are the HyperX headset there, and there's also two glorious PCGR Model O's being given away. So if you guys want an opportunity to win one of these three prizes, just go ahead over to the Twitter link in my description and follow the instructions and get yourselves entered to win. All right, guys, so let's jump into the guide here. So for the first tier in the 15 row, I'm taking Inevitable Demise. 50 stack drain actually does decent damage, so the other two options just really don't compare, and the reason for that is Nightfall just kind of is flawed in and of itself. It doesn't really do a ton of damage, which kind of sucks. And then Drain Soul. The reason you take Drain Soul in PvE is because it'll apply a stack of Shadow Embrace, up to 3 stacks, every time it deals a tick of damage. And in PvP, there's no guarantee that we'll have the globals to really maintain Shadow Embrace. And the other reason for taking Drain Soul is to snipe Soul Shards, and in PvP that doesn't happen that often. And with RBGs, I think you have enough agonies out to the point where you don't really need to worry about trying to snipe Soul Shards off of kills. I would rather just have Inevitable Demise. So in the 25 row here, I personally like Wraith and Agony and rated BGs. It starts it off at 4 stacks, so it gets your damage ramping up a little bit faster. I'm not super concerned with reaching 18 stacks, but if I can maintain it, if I have the opportunity in a team fight to maintain 18 stacks, then I will do that. In Arena, I think Absolute Corruption is better as long as you have the Sacrilash's legendary. So corruption damage is increased by 15% by this legendary, and also any corruption, or anybody that has corruption on them gets slowed by 50%, which is really nice. So it would make sense to just buff this ability by 15% more damage. And then it also increases the duration of corruption by up to 24 seconds. So that's also really nice. And so I think if you have Sacrilashes, the better option is Absolute Corruption. I think if you don't have this legendary, I think Wraith and Agony could also be viable in Arena. Siphon Life, this is something a couple people have asked me about. I just think this is way too global intensive to really play. It does nice damage. Yes, it adds the ability to stack another dot on for Malefic Rapture, but I just think that this is too many globals, and in PvP, we already have less globals than in PvE to begin with, and I just think that this could set you up for a little bit of failure, honestly. I think it would just be way too global intensive to really maintain this very well. The 30 tier is really simple. If you are playing PvP, you're pretty much taking Demon Skin, except for in rated BGs when you're doing Silver Shard Mines, or you're doing Warsong Gulch or Twin Peaks, where you're going to have to run through certain areas that you can't mount, or like in Silver Shard Mines, peeling to a cart is really important, and you could be dotting while you're burning rushing. And as long as you have a healer nearby or you have Healthstone Coil, you can kind of keep yourself healthy. But using Burning Rush is really good in those instances and situations where, let's say your FC's trying to run up your tunnel and land a cap, you know, and you're a little bit behind at the bottom of the tunnel and you're trying to catch up. You're not going to catch up to them without Burning Rush, really. So, you know, if you're trying to peel for your FC a little bit or something, using Curse of Exhaustion or the Corruption Slow legendary, this is just a nice way to get you to a certain place where you can't mount, or you're stuck in combat and can't mount. In the 35 tier, we're pretty much taking Phantom Singularity, and this is for RBGs and arenas. The reason is that Sow the Seeds, it's kind of hard without like an AoE Mass Grip or something like that into an Ursul's Vortex to get the Seed of Corruption to explode in a really good way that we would need it to. Like it's just not worth trying to do this. The Vile Taint ability, it uses a Soul Shard, and there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to hit that many targets. Team fights on a lot of maps get spread out sometimes, and so there's no guarantee you'll really be able to cleave that many people in that circle. And then Phantom Singularity is very simply just an extra dot that, yes, it does AoE damage, but it's an extra dot that will help with the scaling on Malefic Rapture. It will do more damage to the target that you put this on. So in the 40 tier, I'm taking Mortal Coil pretty often just because I like having that 20% heal option. It's a relatively low cooldown at 45 seconds, so that 20% heal has saved me quite a few times, and it is a nice form of CC in the event that you're in a situation where that just one little extra CC could help you land a kill. So I personally do like Mortal Coil quite a bit. Howl of Terror definitely has a place, and Dark Fury and rated BGs might have a place. This is something that I haven't toyed around with enough in RBGs, but that's just because personally I think that 20% heal is massive, and so I'm not changing out of Mortal Coil all that often. This is just something that I kind of use defensively, offensively. It's just something that I feel like really belongs in my toolkit. In the 45 tier, we have Grimoire of Sacrifice as like the #1 standing, talent. The reason for that is our pets are dying really fast right now, so it's just nice to not have to really worry about it, especially because pet summoning in Shadowlands is extremely long, and Fel Domination is on a 3-minute cooldown. So a lot of people are going to be playing Grimoire of Sacrifice just to not have to worry about your pet dying and having to find a window to summon it back out. In rated BGs, I'm actually considering using Dark Lair. I haven't used it a ton, but I have used it in like 2 games so far, and I do like that I have this lined up with my Dark Soul, because there's certain games in RBGs where for some reason we only team fight when I have Dark Soul up, which is really nice for me personally. But it's just nice because in a team fight we're putting so many dots out and things like that you have the ability to use your Dark Caller in those team fights and refresh all of those dots for another 8 seconds and give you a little bit of breathing room to maintain everything. Somebody just humped me with extraordinary force. Okay. And finally, in the 50 tier, I am taking Dark Soul. I don't actually know if they ever changed the ability for Dark Soul to be purged, but I haven't really looked into it in like a week because I've been doing so much PvE content. But in the event that it is purgeable, if I'm playing against like Mage Ellie or something like that, I would switch out for probably Creeping Death. But Soul Conduit does have some value and could be useful as well. But personally, in most situations, I'm playing Dark Soul, and I actually haven't noticed my Dark Soul ever be purged or spell stolen yet. Hopefully that doesn't change. But in those situations where if this is still purgeable, if this is still spell stealable, I would switch for Creeping Death most likely. Affliction PvP talents are really simple. You have Rampant Afflictions, which is Unstable Affliction can now be applied up to 3 targets. Unstable Affliction is capped to 1 target normally. With this PvP talent here, it's capped at 3 targets. So you're pretty much putting Rampant Afflictions on and you're leaving it for the entire expansion. Rapid Contagion is pretty much the same thing. This is a massive DPS cooldown on a 30-second cooldown, which is really nice. Only takes 3 soul shards, which sounds like a lot, but for the value you get out of this, I think this is a really good talent. And then Demon Armor, this is the only thing I'm swapping for Nether Ward. And so the reason I'm swapping this for Nether Ward is against double casters. Demon Armor is not going to help you a ton. It's only 5% health. Maybe if it was still 10% health, it'd be a different story, but Nether Ward is really nice to reflect some spells. Against double melee, I am taking Demon Armor, and then against Rogue Mage, if I feel like they're going to go me, then I'll probably play Demon Armor. Or if I'm fighting like Warrior, Caster, something of that nature, I kind of make the decision if I think they're going to go me, I'll play Demon Armor because there's going to be a melee DPS on me, so the armor is really nice. If I think that they're not going to go me, I'll play Nether Ward. So that way, like against a Rogue Mage team, if the Mage is trying to polymorph me, I can reflect the polymorph. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time going super deep with Covenants and Conduits, but I am going Night Fae for my Covenant. I really enjoy Soul Shape. I think it has a really good place in our toolkit. We basically get a blink, and we also get 50% movement speed increase after blinking. This is it just feels really nice to have this on top of Demonic Circle, Gateway, Curse of Exhaustion, the Corruption Slow, Mortal Coil. Like, we have a lot of kiting tools already, but adding this into it really makes up for the fact that Affliction is in a squishier spot right now. So I definitely really enjoy having Soul Shape as a part of my toolkit. The Soul Rod ability, super nice to have in the toolkit. It makes your drain life AoE, which isn't necessarily what we're going for, but I did get a 50 stack Inevitable Demise drain life AoE off, and it felt so good. It does a lot of damage. If your Soul Rod is on multiple people and you're drain lifing multiple people, your health will fly back up. So it can be used defensively in a way. It also just is another dot, and it's on the nature school. So if you get locked out, it knocks you out on nature, which Affliction doesn't have any other nature ability. So you don't really have to worry about getting kicked too much with this ability. If you have this on a target though, it adds another dot onto Malefic Rapture. So it just increases Malefic Rapture damage. So I personally really enjoy Soul Rot. I think it's a really nice ability to have in the toolkit. As far as my Soulbind and my Conduit goes, I'm going Karain. Karain in the Night Fae Soulbinds. Karain is going to increase your damage done when you're damaging a target that's at 75% health or higher. Your damage done is going to be increased by 10%. It's also going to give you 15% movement speed increase for 5 seconds. So it basically increases your kiting potential, and it also increases your damage done in that sort of 75% plus health pool range, which allows us to rot teams a little bit faster at the beginning of a fight, which feels really good. Obviously, we aren't high enough renown to unlock Karain yet, but as soon as I unlock Karain, I am going to be swapping over to that. The other thing, I don't know if I can see it in here or not. Here, perfect, there we go. I didn't know I could pull that up. So this is what I was talking about, Wild Hunt tactics though. Now, right now I'm playing Naya. I'm not really too worried about this, too focused on that. Focused Malignancy. This is the first potency conduit I'm putting in. No matter which one I go, I'm going to go potency first, and I'm going to put focused Malignancy in. Malefic Rapture deals 17% increased damage to targets suffering from unstable affliction. Now keep in mind, I PvE and PvP, so this choice, some of the choices I make are geared toward PvP, but they kind of suck for PvE, which feels bad. In PvE, you can only unstable affliction one target, so this really isn't actually that great. But in PvP, you do have 3 UAs out there, so you're basically increasing the damage of your Malefic Rapture on 3 targets by 17% as long as you're keeping your UAs up, and that really helps with that rot pressure that you can put out on other teams, and that's why you're taking focused Malignancy first. Going further into these covenants here, or these conduits here, Rolling Agony is really nice. I think once we get Rolling Agony as the second conduit that we have, Wraith and Agony will definitely be much more playable than it is now. And the reason for that is it just increases the duration by 5.2 seconds. So you have 5.2 more seconds to maintain your Agony stacks, which will feel really nice as we go through the tree. I just realized I can go activate this. Oopsie. If you chose a different covenant, it's not the end of the world. You have a little bit of time to play with to be able to switch over to Night Fae. It's not the end of the world. But honestly, covenants, they do matter. Blizzard tried to make them not super meaningful, but still meaningful at the same time. Unfortunately for Affliction Warlocks, it really feels like Night Fae is the best for PvE and PvP by a pretty decent amount. I know some people have said Kyrian is good, so if you went Kyrian, I really don't know anything about it, but if you went Kyrian, not the end of the world. I know Maldraxxus, the Necrolord Covenant, is really bad, and I don't really know much about where Venthyr stands, so if you went a different covenant, consider switching over. Do the little research about how to switch over and kind of how far behind it'll put you. But yeah, Night Fae, definitely in my eyes, Night Fae is the number one by a pretty decent amount. So let's talk about doing damage real quickly. One of the things that I did last night was normal Castle Nathria, but this morning when I looked back at the logs that we took last night, I realized something that other Warlocks are doing much better than me is when they're casting their Malefic Raptures, and this is something that I'm looking to improve myself. They're spending their Malefic Raptures in kind of like chunks, if you will. So they're not doing it at one shard, they're doing it every, like they're pulling up 3-4 shards sometimes. They're also trying to do it based around when they have Phantom Singularity and Soul Rod on the target. I took that kind of information into some rated battlegrounds, and I started to pool my Malefic Raptures together. And so what I would do at the beginning of a team fight, I would use my dots, I'd get everything out, I would get my UAs out and whatnot, and I would use my Rapid Contagion early into the team fight. It costs 3 shards, and my dots are dealing more damage faster, and I would be rotting the team down faster. And then when I'm going, you know, as I'm running around just maintaining dots, I'm building more shards from the agonies that are out on targets. And what I was doing to kind of burst is I would drop my Observer, I would throw out my Dark Soul, my Soul Rot, and my Phantom Singularity on my kill target, use my Gladiator badge, and then would dump multiple Malefic Raptures at one time. And so what that sort of does is has a better chance to force a cooldown or land a kill, because you have Dark Soul, you're casting faster, your Malefic Rapture dumping. It's just more damage faster at one time rather than just spreading 1 or 2 Malefic Raptures, you know, whenever you get Soul Shards. It's just a better idea to pool Soul Shards and set up your damage a little bit better, and then dump it all at one time, so that the other team has to react faster and has to react, you know, heavier. They have to either heal through it, which is using more mana, or they have to use a cooldown to get through it, that type of thing. So just kind of keep in mind, you don't have to dump a Malefic Rapture every time you have a Soul Shard. You can pull your Soul Shards. Alright guys, that's all I have for you guys in this guide. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have questions, feel free to comment down below. I think it's really easier for me to read some of the questions you guys have and be able to answer those a little bit easier, rather than me just making an overall guide. I feel like I get good information out there about the game or about the class or whatever in an overall guide, but I think like a specific question being asked to me is something much easier for me to answer. Be sure to go check me out on Twitch. I've been streaming a lot more lately, and I am going to be streaming pretty much every night this week. I'm super excited. There's a lot of things to do now that the season's back. Been doing some raiding, some rated BGs. I hope to do some arenas really soon. Make sure you guys go check out the giveaway. Go win yourself some free stuff. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.